You're listening to the Industry Alchemist podcast. The definition of alchemy is a seemingly magical process of transformation or creation. This podcast exists to hear the stories of entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders doing just that in their industry. We hear about the journey of the brave souls carving a new path, moving their industry and our lives forward in a seemingly magical way. I'm your host, Matt Brower, co-founder and managing broker of Column Commercial Partners, helping companies save money on their real estate. Hello, you guys. This is Matt Brower, host of the Industry Alchemist podcast. My guest for this episode is someone who has been involved in some well-known companies that have either reimagined old industries or helped create a new future for us all. As the prior chief marketing officer of Trailora, being head of sales at Gaia, then helping bring a sensory immersion product and research company called Lumina to the market. Lumina had a mission to reduce perception-based suffering and unlock human potential. And I have actually gotten to experience this incredible tool. So we could talk more about that during this the podcast here. But I do see a common theme throughout his background, which is his clear passion and commitment to having a positive impact on how people perceive and experience life. Rhett Kirby's latest creation, Shoulder, is no different than that. Shoulder, short for Space Holder, is a new approach to mental and emotional well-being that makes skilled, effective one-to-one support accessible and affordable for all. The company also trains leaders to increase psychological safety and belonging within their teams via live experiential workshops. Rhett, I really appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
So I originally had the thought that, oh my God, that you are a perfect type of person to be on this podcast. When I got your recent email that you are raising some funds for Shoulder. So you're at a pivotal, I'm sure you're super, in it right now and busy. And so I really do appreciate you taking some time here, but you're also at a very pivotal moment for Shoulder. Do you want to talk about real quick, Shoulder, how it kind of came to become an idea for you? And I know you've been working on this for at least a couple of years, maybe a year?
Yeah, actually a little more than a couple of years. I actually incorporated the company about 3 years ago. And that first year was just kind of evangelizing to several people. And I wanted to get a corporate structure to file some early IP, but really didn't take any money into the business for quite a while. And, there's a lot you can get done before you start spending money and before you start hiring people. And so it takes a while to lay foundations. But sure, I'll share a little bit about how the whole idea started. My last full-time job was, I can't believe this, in 7 days, it will be 5 years since I left my last full-time job. And that was at a company called Gaia that you mentioned. And it was a great experience, phenomenal company, helping elevate consciousness through a streaming platform for people that don't know about it. Some people call it Gaia TV. It came from the old Gaiam, which is one of the largest yoga brands, one of the first in the United States.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and so after I left there, I traveled quite a bit, and then the pandemic happened, and that kind of put a damper on my travel plans. So I stayed stateside and really just kind of stayed in nature in our national parks, and I camped a lot and spent time with friends and was thinking about what I wanted to do next. Fortunately, I had a lot of great air cover from the pandemic. No one was really doing much. Everybody was kind of frozen. And so it was a great time to go in. And I turned 40 during that time. That's a big deal, not from like an intellectualizing it type of space, but just from an experiential space. Anyone you talk to, this is, 2-3 years before 40 or 2 or 3 years after, there's a window that like something's going to get you, something's going to change. And so I knew that was coming. So I wanted to get ahead of it kind of intentionally. And so I actually went to a rural area of Texas and rented a cabin for a month and and, fasted and ate fish out of the river and kind of did the, like, off the grid type of thing. And I did that mainly just to spend time with myself. And I'm kind of, this is a little bit of like a preamble to how Shoulder was born, because it's all relevant. So during that time, one of the things that came up for me was, I didn't really see this coming, but I kind of did a life review. I looked at the timeline of my life. I kind of sat with all of my memories, just letting things come up and looking at basically all the stories that I'm holding in my life, and whether they're working for me or whether they're holding me back in different ways. And it was fascinating how many things came up, how many things I remembered about my life that just kind of sit below conscious awareness somewhere deep in my memory, but still inform the way that I think about myself and the way I interact with people. And so as I started to bring all that stuff up into the conscious space and look at it for what it was, I wanted to make sure that all of my stories were working for me, that, regardless of whether, whatever I went through, if I've gone through it and it brought me here, really, I can say thank you. And I can say, what did you teach me? As opposed to having these little shadows that still, I think we all have. I still have them, even like you.
We all have them. The onion, there's never ending layers of the onion.
That's right. Yeah. But this was a big peel back, with that metaphor. And so through that process, I had been just really asking, praying, meditating, setting intention, whatever language, for me, I would say probably praying, because that's the faith I grew up in. I was just asking God, that which is greater than us, show me what to do and I'll do it, because, I had this pretty strong awareness that I didn't choose to be Rhett. All of a sudden I'm a person with memories and people are calling me Rhett. That's what happened. If I'm in my experience, before about 3, 4, 5 years old, there are pictures of me. That was me, but I didn't decide anything. All of a sudden I was just kind of lifted up on a wave of life, and I'm this person. That's what really happened.
That's what happens. That's that part of the story.
And so when I really felt into that, I was like, man, the only real response to this is thank you. And what would you have me do with it? What am I supposed to do now? Because I didn't really decide to be here. So whatever it is that's, larger than me, that's bringing me here, there's some type of plan, I would hope. Let's see. So that was my prayer. Show me what to do. I'll pour out my life. I'm not in a relationship. I don't have kids. I'll empty myself out for this, whatever you show me. And it took probably, it took probably a year, a little more than a year and a half. And I had several ideas come up. We can talk through those, these kind of, I still think they're interesting ideas that led to what ended up becoming Shoulder. But every time I'd start to work on them, I'd get really excited, and then they'd kind of morph and they'd change a little, and I'd realize, oh, that's not it. That's not. But I was building muscle around, like, it's kind of like when you're starting a crank motor and you're like, that's what it felt like. And then finally it clicked in February. I was at a friend's house named Jeremy with his wife, Kristen. And I was in their living room, and I was talking about this idea. And when I said the word shoulder, and I talked about, everyone talks about holding space for others, but no one's actually defined what a space holder is. And I think there's an opportunity here, and to really do it well. And the fundamental thesis is that it doesn't always take many years of advanced education or a license from the state or government or a degree by a fancy university just to make a meaningful difference in someone else's life when they're going through something, to meet someone on a human level with a higher level of skill, a high standard of excellence, confidentiality, that there can really be transformation human to human without all of the, let's say Western mental health, I guess, achievements or letters behind them. all very important, critical, especially at this time in history. I'll definitely say, but when I shared this in the living room with Jeremy and Kristen, the thing that happened, I don't know if you've ever had this, where like the energy in the room shifts and everybody just kind of goes, whoa, like, oh my God, that's it. Like there was a moment where that type of thing happened. And I was like,
yeah, I love that.
So I try to pay attention to things like that. I'm sure I miss a ton of them, but that's what happened. And so I bought the URL that day. Within a week, I was introduced just by happenstance to the man who's now my co-founder in the business, who's become a dear friend. And we were introduced by just a mutual friend that runs the Human Universal Health Institute here in Denver. So
incredible.
We were kind of off to the races after that. Lots more to that story, but that's how it started. And now fast forward 3 years, we're accelerating. We've got we've trained 160 or so people in the work. We've got
shoulders.
Yeah, we call them shoulders.
Yeah.
You got it. And we're delivering tremendous outcomes. We just pulled some data from the first of the year. We have 100% satisfaction rate with the service. We cover about 5,500 total lives right now that can access our that can get matched with a shoulder. That's a non-clinical. This is a non-clinical person that knows how to support you in being where you are and walk through things in a way that's very uncommon. It's not like therapy. It's not like coaching. We've developed a custom methodology that we call shouldering, or to shoulder someone. You need to be shouldered.
Yeah. So they are getting your shoulders. They are getting some like some sort of structure or guidelines to provide space or hold space. And so those people that would love to, serve in this way for others, you guys, they come in and they reach out to you and they explore what this all is, and you help guide them through the process. And then you have 5,500 currently individuals.
That's right. Yeah. That can access the benefit and have it paid for by an employer, by a company. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you've even partnered with corporations, and have you partnered with insurance companies, or how's that process look?
Yeah, we work with several brokers that put together employee benefits packages for employers. Yeah. And
huge. I can't imagine what that process alone looked like.
Well, we've been very fortunate in that to have attracted a phenomenal team member just in the last several months, because I just kind of walked forward in obedience when I realized here's what this is. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, let's just take the first steps. Let's just start building it. And then, Matt, what happened is all of a sudden I found myself. So we built a training. We trained a bunch of people. We built a basic technology stack to allow folks to, create a login, choose a shoulder, get matched, reschedule, etc. And we had tested through this entire process. We had done a lot of market research, and we launched the platform to consumers where they could just log in, use a credit card, and connect with a shoulder. And that was, we got great feedback. We tested the plumbing of the software that we built. Like, okay, does this break? Most software has bugs, so okay, we got to fix that.
Oh yeah.
And then we start talking to investors and our advisors. We're surrounded by some phenomenal advisors and people that have built fantastic companies. And the feedback at the time was very consistent. It was, building a direct-to-consumer business in mental health is very expensive. You're going to need to raise millions of dollars to run ads. I mean, if you imagine, like, this day and age, as bombarded as people are, running an ad on Instagram saying connect with a shoulder just feels like another, Talkspace or BetterHelp, or, there's a lot of people in the space that are responding to the great need that's in our society, which is great.
Yeah.
But differentiating and trying to get into, get a credit card from a consumer for this type of work, it felt more difficult from an investor's perspective. They said, why don't you, go to corporations? Why don't you go to businesses and partner with them? Because, the resilience of their workforce is something they're absolutely paying attention to. And if you can map that to clear return on investment, creating a more resilient workforce, then it's a slam dunk. And so we thought, okay, that's smart. So we pivoted to a B2B strategy. We wanted to start going and talking to businesses.
How far into the process was that? Like, I imagine you started going down the road of B2C. How far into this did you shift?
Yeah, only like 2-3 months. We were.
Oh, okay. Pretty quick.
So, we launched in to B2C in like fall of 2022, and we saw the ways that people were experiencing it. We had some great stories that started to emerge, but right around the holidays, we switched to a B2B go-to-market strategy to really start testing into that. If you know anything about how employers buy benefits, the holidays is not a good time to talk to them.
Yeah.
And
it's not a great HR calendar.
Yeah, you got it. We were literally a year behind the 8 ball, because most new benefit cycles start January 1st.
Yeah.
And so we were, it's like late November, December, and we're like, great, we're going to go B2B. And every employer's like, happy holidays, go away.
We made those decisions a few months ago.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I did my best to get up to speed on this industry over 7 or 8 months. And it is so complex. I built a couple of broker relationships, landed a few deals, but really out of the grace of people seeing what we were doing and, trying the service. But there's so much complexity to this space. We're not technically a healthcare service, but we're healthcare adjacent. So we have to know all the way that all that works.
Wow.
The way that employers buy benefits, insurance, like you mentioned, brokers, the way that self-insured employers, use a third-party administrator to administer their claims funds. And, there's so many different people in the stack that's all around this ecosystem. And so we just found someone recently, a guy named Austin Baker, who's joined our team. And he's just such a culture fit. He's a phenomenal man. And he's had 25 years in building and scaling and selling employee benefits companies. And
really?
So he's come in guns blazing, just, lighting everything up in all the best ways. And we're really excited about, having that level of expertise
congrats on landing. As we were talking about right before we started recording, like, your team is literally everything. And so congrats on landing a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I tell people, it really does feel like I'm just the first one to get to know Shoulder, the first one that it picked. And now it has a life force of its own, is what it feels like. And it's just kind of attracting the right people to it. And I'm trying not to get in the way. And by get in the way, I mean, be reactive with what I think needs to happen next and think that it's my job to go out and get them, as opposed to, listening at a deeper level. And I don't know. I'm learning a lot about the way to attract and, the right kinds of talent and people, because anytime I think I get in my head and I think it's up to me to try to figure it out, and I start taking action towards it, I kind of run us into a ditch. And when I slow down and allow things to happen a little bit more and take only the right appropriate next action, things come together in so much better of a way. And it's such a dance that I know.
That makes me think about like everything's energy. We are energy. A company is its own kind of consciousness and energy as well. And the more we can stay out of the way of ourselves and be in flow, just like a company, it's a group of people, like a collective. That's the more flow you're gonna, and the more attraction you're gonna benefit from.
Yeah, it's a great way to say it. the head versus the heart.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's all of the, there's vast intelligence below our neck, and most of
Yeah.
us, including me, stay in our intellect trying to figure things out
Yep.
most of the day. And the magic happens when I can remember to drop below my neck and use the full intelligence of my system and listen at a deeper level. And so there's
It's
a
like
lot of
it's a hard battle for us business owners sometimes, huh?
I'll tell you. Yep, very true.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing kind of the background and the story. I mean, it sounds like a lot of it had to do with your journey of looking inward, actually, and then this thing was kind of came out of that and was born, from looking inward and then being open to what showed up for you.
Yeah, that's how it came to be. I mean, that's some of the backstory, I guess. But we're pretty focused on. I think a lot of people know just whether you're looking square in the face of it every day as a part of your job, or you're just feeling into it as a human being on the planet right now. We know that things are accelerating, and many of them don't feel like they're going in the right direction.
Mm.
And lots of polarization, lots of fear, lots of war, lots of
Chaos,
fighting. Yeah. And it really
lots of human ego.
Human ego. Yeah.
But is the way I would say that.
But I was listening to a conversation last night with between Jonathan Haidt, who is a phenomenal author, just wrote a new book called The Anxious Generation. And he was talking how basically technology and phones in our pocket have rewired the brains of youth. And it absolutely phenomenal. And he was talking to Tristan Harris, who founded the Center for Humane Technology and helped bring forward The Social Dilemma. Did you see that movie, The Social Dilemma?
Yeah.
So, what's happening right now, everybody has probably heard some variation of this idea that, the great paradox of our time is that never before have we been more interconnected with technology. And yet people are experiencing record levels of disconnection, loneliness, isolation. And, it's killing us. Like the U.S. Surgeon General's advisory report recently found that loneliness increases the risk of premature death by 26% if you're lonely.
Wow.
And a recent
26%.
26%. It's crazy. Loneliness is literally killing us. And 68% of Americans today say that there's not a single person who really knows me well.
Oh my God.
68%. It's absolutely it's like sound the alarm. Like it's where we are. And so anything that we all can do to get people off of their passive scrolling patterns, passive consumption,
which is right, which is a great way to connect in terms of what people are up to in the world, and it's not an energetic connection whatsoever to another human,
That's right.
Which is what really matters, I think.
Yeah, that's right. It's all contained within the mind. It's almost like vomiting and eating the vomit, as opposed to kind of like getting back into what's emerging that's new now in this moment, like the creative force that's looking to express through all of us, allowing that to come through us and connect with others in the moment is something that we're losing. That's an art that's getting lost now, and it's not even an art, it's essential to human thriving. And so with all these statistics, the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, has been doing research for over 15 years that shows that a non-clinical peer can actually deliver equal or better outcomes than a licensed therapist across key metrics in this area. And so when you think about what that means is like, people report that connecting with someone that looks like me, sounds like me, comes from a community like mine
Yeah.
is incredibly healing, allows me to be seen and heard when they hold just a minimum level of skill, and reduces depressive symptoms and helps renew a sense of hope. These are really important things right now. And it doesn't always require a license to do it. Now, some studies show that about 20% of the time when people raise their hand and say, I need to talk to someone, they're really having something very, more serious, more clinical level in nature that they need support with. But that leaves about 80% of the time that when people say, I need to talk to someone, they're going through normal human stuff. They're trying to process their emotions. They need to get new perspectives.
They just need someone to listen.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. What type of so when a person comes in and they want to become a shoulder, without going into too much detail, what types of things are you training them for to be able to hold space?
Sure. So we whittled down, we pulled together a group of people that range from Ivy League psychiatrists to emerging psychologists and, life and executive coaches, all the way to more, indigenous wisdom traditions, earth-based or spiritual, non-religious spirituality, and honed, distilled everything down to a few core skills that are proven to drive positive outcomes in one-to-one therapeutic sessions very consistently and don't require any kind of licensure.
Wait, so you took all these different practices and types of people, and you studied them all to find the commonalities that each one is bringing to the table, and you broke it down to these core competencies or magic, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, they're
incredible.
The simplest things are magic. So,
yeah.
Active deep listening, teaching someone how to listen actively and deeply,
being present.
Having a framework for asking the right kinds of powerful reflective questions as opposed to assumptive questions or leading or guiding. Being able to guide someone into their body effectively through somatic exercises or what we call embodied exploration. Knowing how to champion someone, appropriately, like how to empower someone thoughtfully with what they're going through without having an agenda. And being able to self-manage, not putting yourself in their story.
No, exactly. And projecting yours.
You got it. Yeah. So some of those types of tools. And then, we have a framework for the session. Sessions usually last about 45 to 50 minutes and it follows a consistent arc. And there are a few other frameworks and different things that we teach. And then, once someone goes through the initial training, we have a very active community. So this group of people, people that are drawn to this type of work that are probably, maybe they come from a background like social work or therapy or life coaching, something like that. But many of them don't. And many of our best shoulders don't actually have those backgrounds. But this is our community is a place where they all connect with each other. They practice the skills. They stay in touch with each other. And we deliver ongoing education and programming to that community that keeps them engaged. So one of the big differences in what we're doing, a lot of mental health companies are kind of shuffling around the same base of providers because there are only a certain number of people that have a license to practice mental health. So they shuffle those around. What we're building is a private, like a closed community. What we're seeing, the value of that, being able to almost have like an immune system to that group of people that we can make sure that folks understand the practices and are delivering them consistently. It's allowing us to deliver really consistent outcomes. Whereas like if you go to one therapist versus another, you kind of get it's a grab bag. You never
Yeah,
know.
because they're kind of approaching it from whatever they learned in their education studies.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. So ultimately, what we believe is possible is that we can standardize a layer of non-clinical support that's radically
Yeah.
affordable,
Mhm.
and that becomes known as a new way of being with another person, shouldering someone
Right.
to be shouldered. So I think we're still at the beginning of it, but appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about it. And
Yeah, and so I want to I want to make sure that everyone knows like how to get in touch with you, and that you're in this phase of raising capital right now. But before we dive into that, who's a perfect profile, a candidate for becoming one of your shoulders?
yeah, I'd say people that look inside themselves and want to be of service.
Okay.
I think people that are sensitive, that are, whether they think of themselves as an empath or whether they think of themselves as very practical, we have
Mhm.
shoulders from every walk of life, every background, and it
No
really
like
just
demographic type of information. It's more just about somebody who is drawn to this and feels that they can, offer some guidance or wants to explore this more.
yeah. I mean, we definitely see trends in
Okay.
some of the backgrounds of people that create great shoulders, but it doesn't preclude anyone that doesn't come from those backgrounds. If
Right.
people have worked in caregiving, if they've worked in
Mhm.
hospice, if they've been a yoga teacher, if they've been drawn to, I think there's a strong percentage of people that just in their lives they feel drawn to be a helper. They
Yeah.
feel drawn to be there for other people. And our hypothesis is that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these people that are, aging, that are, in their maybe 50s, 60s, 70s, who have lived, they're starting to realize like maybe there are more years behind me than in front of me.
Mm.
And what has my life meant? Have I invested in others? Have I given back in the
Yeah.
ways that I can? And they have extra time in their day and they want to make a difference. And so what we're doing is giving them a structure and a platform to do that, and an opportunity to earn a side income instead of driving Uber or
Yeah.
running errands.
What type of pay do you guys offer for that?
Yeah, so we pay 30. We have a base of a 25 an hour or per session, and then a bonus structure that we add on to the base pay of $5.
Hmm.
So right now it's coming out to about $30 an hour.
Wow.
Definitely, um,
Decent.
it's decent. We want to pay well, but we also want to keep it radically affordable for people. So there's that
Yeah.
balance that we have to always consider, because many of the folks that need this the most are coming out of backgrounds where they didn't have, they're not coming from places of great abundance
Right.
um, in their life. And so,
Yeah.
uh, so yeah.
And is this, I imagine this is happening over is it a video call or is it just phone call or how does that work? I mean, in person if they're in the same city, but
Yeah. So all of our trainings are done virtually.
okay.
The initial training we call Shoulder Foundations is 2.5
Mhm.
days. And it's done virtually. And at the end of it, anyone that wishes to go through the full process of becoming qualified for booked paid sessions on the platform, there's a completely separate process after that. That's minimum of 6 weeks. That includes, ongoing supervision, practicing in the community, along with some threshold experiences and final qualifications.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then following that, ongoing education.
Okay.
And quality
What about
assurance.
the sessions between the two individuals? Is it all online or?
Yeah. So when someone connects with their shoulder, the process for that is a quick 10 or 15-minute call with someone from our team to
Mm.
just get to know who that person is, where they're coming from, and develop a sense of who in our community might be the best shoulder. And completely confidential. That person is then matched with their shoulder, and the first session is booked. And once you're in touch with your shoulder, you can reach out via text, email. It's a direct relationship. So one of the things that separates us quite a bit that employers really like and people are responding well to is this feels like an organic relationship. It
Yeah.
feels like a cool aunt or uncle or like a mother or father type figure.
Yeah.
Not a clinical event that you have to continue to book yourself. Our shoulders actually proactively follow up. They check in and say, hey, Matt, I know you were kind of nervous about this week for whatever reason. I've been thinking
How'd it
about you.
go? Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. Let me know if you want to chat. I'm available. And so, so it feels kind of like that scaffolding, emotional scaffolding around your life that so many people are missing right now.
Yeah.
And so that deeper relationship, feeling seen, heard, and understood by someone that's also not in your direct friend or family group is very important.
I was just going to say that because I would imagine a lot of people want to communicate with somebody about something, but they don't, they don't want to be vulnerable enough to like just blare it out to their friend group or their family or something. It could be very sensitive topics. And this is what a great solution for to have that connection and that person to, just literally just be an ear or a shoulder or actually provide feedback. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I love the name of this podcast, Industry Alchemist. I love the word alchemy. And what we talk about at Shoulder a lot is there is an alchemical process that happens when two people come together and focus on one thing together. And when that one thing is whatever's emerging in one of the people, like when both people's attention is focused on one person and what's emerging in them, with non-judgment, something changes. So it's very different to have to share out what's going on in my inner world. It feels very different than staying in my head and trying to figure it out myself. Having someone there for me that's asking questions that says, hey, wait a minute, you said this earlier, but then now you just said this. What's going on? Like it acting as a clearer mirror to me, helping me bring out what's going on. My inner intelligence, my inner wisdom starts to activate in that environment, and new things become possible. And this is what we're seeing very consistently with people that are using our service. I mean, we've seen some incredible transformations. Women leaving hard relationships that were abusive and being able to stabilize themselves in a new life over the course of 10 to 12 sessions.
Right.
I'm not necessarily even saying that our shoulders caused this, but we supported that process. And that is, it's reflected in the, testimonials and feedback that we're getting from users of the service consistently, is that they haven't felt this supported in years. That many of the things that are changing in their own lives, the new awarenesses they're having, the better relationships with their family are being catalyzed by this core relationship with someone that deeply cares and is there for them when they need them.
It's you brought up the term alchemy. This is when somebody's making a big shift in their life, they're literally alchemizing themselves and how they operate in the world. And to be able to stay in the conversation, feel supported, it's very easy during that process to fall back into old ways of being, old conversation, old story. And to be able to have somebody to continuously draw you and keep you in that alchemized energy that creation you're looking to have or be is critical. I mean, just your shoulders as a perfect example. You guys provide so much support and you built this community of people to stay in the energy of this heart space offering and being of service to others, and having that community is, I would imagine, critical for the magic you guys are creating in the world for others.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. That's what it feels like. It really feels like, to me, this is the most important thing that could be happening in the world. Probably a lot of people that are building something feel like that. I think that's good. Everyone feels that about what they're doing. But when I think about it, back in those days when I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was asking, show me, show me, show me. I was watching a ton of Mr. Rogers.
Okay.
Mr.
Yeah.
Rogers.
He's actually an incredible thought leader, like a very wise man.
just the most beautiful, patient way shower for humanity at the time. Like, he raised generations of latchkey kids.
Mm-hmm.
That was at the time that, mom and dad were at work, or both parents were at work, and or single parents. Many times, there were a lot of divorce started happening, even, statistically more in the, like 70s, 80s, 90s. And the way that he spoke to people and met the child within each person, he was talking to children, but if you watch those interviews, even him on like Charlie Rose, old interview, something happens and Charlie Rose is like, "Oh, you saw so-and-so?" And he said, "Yeah, I did. I told him I was coming on your show." And they said, "Oh, really? What do you think about him?" And Charlie said, What did you say?" Like, you can watch Charlie Rose become a child looking for the approval of Mr. Rogers.
Oh my God.
In a little glint of his eye, he's kind of like, we're all, it doesn't matter how successful we are, we're all looking for that approval.
Yeah,
absolutely. We all still, a piece of us all still wants dad to show up and protect us and provide for us. And we all still want mom to show up and love us unconditionally and nurture us. And, now more than ever, the community that we need to build in this modern era, we have to provide that for ourselves and each other. That's kind of the new charge. That's the new opportunity, because so few of us, if any, get that kind of conditioning consistently in our childhood. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. Every parent is going to fall short and fail. And so learning these skills and tools to be there in a meaningful way for ourselves and each other, I think, is some of the most important work that's happening in the world. And
it's very healing for those that are doing it. Like, being of service in that way, it's very healing in itself.
Yeah, it's amazing. We actually, Mark, my co-founder, just recently started this thing he's calling Shoulder Bliss. And we our shoulders, after their session, sometimes call in and do like a 5-minute just, share out of how they're feeling after their session. And it's amazing because, both people, the shoulder and the sharer, what we call people that use our service a sharer, are lifted so tremendously by these sessions. That's how there's something bigger happening, because it's not like, the shoulder has to, take the burden from the sharer and now they're weighted down. It's what we're seeing is true alchemy. It really is alchemy. So I think this is perfect.
I love
this. Yeah,
perfect alignment.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you said something earlier about that some people, I can't remember what you said, something about certain people want to, dedicate their life to being of service. My theory and hypothesis is that every single human on the planet, when you look inward deep enough and you get closer and deeper connected to your heart space, this is literally what drives all of us. It's never money. It's never, power. It's never, those things are ego-based things. I have been trained over the years. I take people through this conversation to get deeply connected to their why. Why do I do what I do? And it's this structured conversation where we go 5 layers deep into this. And 100% of the time, what the end result is some form of being of service to others. And that's really when somebody drops deep enough into their heart space as far as why they're doing what they're doing, it is always connected to that. And this is like the bliss that people probably feel, because once you do that, it's like, holy shit, I feel so amazing.
Yeah. Truly being of service to another person. And it's more blessed to give, all of these, these ancient, teachings and faith traditions, they're all ringing the same bell.
Yeah.
And, it's amazing to watch, even, what's happening now as we're, all the kids are on these devices and everything's becoming so kind of, on demand, and the focus is so external.
Yeah.
There's a real danger in losing. It's Narcissus. That character fell in love with his own image, and this idea of projecting an image, creating a false version of self to kind of participate in the modern world. This is really insidious. What's happening right now at scale, really at scale. We're going to have to unravel it. And in order to unravel it, we need to get people back to the center of themselves. And to your point, at the center of all of us is this deep connected desire to be of service, to that's where the true meaning of life is to give it away. Again, back to the great teachings of all of these great traditions.
All of them, yeah.
All of them. They all say the same thing. And look at what we're creating. It's the exact opposite. And so my ultimate vision for Shoulder is that we become the place that is the obvious place for anyone to take the first step in coming back to
Wait,
themselves.
let me stop you really quick.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a glitch. I want to make sure that the listeners hear what your vision.
Oh,
so
yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So on this topic, the vision that I ultimately hold for Shoulder and that our team holds is to become the obvious place that's always top of mind for anyone to get started on this path, to take the first step in learning the skills and tools to be present for yourself and others in a way that is transformative and is of service. And these are basic human skills, but when they're learned and practiced really well, you become superhuman. And you can be there for other people in a way that truly lifts them. And back to Mr. Rogers again, I keep going back. He said, in that same interview that I referenced earlier with Charlie Rose, he said, how many millions of people do you think you've reached? And Fred Rogers' response was, I don't really care how many millions. If we can just be together one-to-one, if it's all that really matters is being with someone one-to-one in the moment. That's where everything happens. That's where that's where all the real magic is. That's where all the activity is. And so that's what's missing from millions of lives. I mean, we're really in a crisis right now. It's
and everyone feels it too. Everyone feels it. Everyone knows it. Like big shifts need to happen and are happening. Like this doesn't have to be our collective story. We can take action and we can actually shift this for ourselves in our future. So I'm really encouraged by that. And the fact that you're offering this and you built this, and one of my ways is this podcast, having people like you on this platform to share what's actually being created in the world that's beautiful and sharing from the heart. We can move more in this direction. It doesn't have to be so what's showing up on the news and scaring everyone. And this is not reality. We can shift.
It's not. Those algorithms, those decisions are based on how to hijack attention so that they can sell it to the highest bidder, which are advertisers, right? And so this is a money game. We invented money and we're all chasing after it like it's some kind of god. We invented it.
So when are we going to get back to bartering, having our true value of our individual selves be our truth instead of some made up piece of paper that we now said that has value? Like, it's so hilarious what we've created.
It is. I mean, when you step back, it's just kind of like, it's like looking at the folly of a little kid. Like, it's just you don't know any better. Like, what are you doing? So
right.
So I think I'm really encouraged by a lot of the great work that's happening, and I think decentralization, of what we're seeing in across a lot of different sectors, they're all aligning to build a bright future for us. But people definitely have to wake up; they have to pay attention in their own lives, and I think that's happening now. And hopefully, we can be a small part of that, journey for the people that that need this type of support or that want to make a difference in this way.
So what's the best way for those folks to get in touch with you, whether they want to offer themselves as a shoulder or whether they're in a spot right now and they could really connect with somebody about something?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. So shoulder.com. So shoulder is spelled without a U. So it's short for
SHOLDER.
Yeah. SHOLDER, S holder, the word space holder shortened. So one of the things we say is the only thing missing is you. So don't. So, people that are interested in becoming a shoulder, going through our training, we at this second, we don't have future training dates locked in just yet. We've trained quite a few people, and now we're building a marketplace. So we're kind of building up the supply, or excuse me, the demand side of that. But we have a wait list. You can express interest there, and we're always publishing new dates. And so you can go to shoulder.com to find out more about that. If people want to reach out to me, they can send me an email, Rett, RETT at shoulder.com, or, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on social media. I don't spend a ton of time on there, but if you message me on those platforms, it might be a week or two, but.
And we'll, when we post this episode, we'll put links to those connections that you want to share as well. And then I want to mention really quick before we wrap, you're at this pivotal moment where you're building this marketplace in a bit of a capital raise mode. Do you want to speak to that really quick? Any asks there? How can people connect with you on that?
Well, yeah, no, I appreciate it. So we actually did a crowdfund that we could, talk about publicly. That actually ended. We were over our goal.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a successful. The main reason we did that is because the Securities and Exchange Commission in this country, first of all, doesn't let us talk about publicly raising money. So no, we're not raising any money. But
gotcha.
unless we do a crowdfund. And anyone can participate. And so that's where, so I really appreciate you bringing this up, because it was so important for us that we allowed every single person that's touching this business to have just the opportunity to put some skin in the game and experience the upside potential with us, because the SEC, requires that investors be accredited if they invest in, early stage companies like Shoulder.
Yeah.
And so that means basically you're making quite a bit of money, or you have a high net worth. And so we have shoulders that don't fit that criteria, but they are bringing their light to this party, and they are helping build something that is becoming more than just a company. It's a movement. And we wanted them to, we got the request from several of them, can we invest in this? And the only way that was possible was through a crowdfund. So, you got it. WeFunder is the one we used. So, and it was great. It was successful. We did a little video. We had, quite a few people jump in, and we were over our target. So,
congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks.
So I want to ask one last question before we wrap. And if you listen to any of my episodes, you probably know what this is. You specifically, what is your superpower?
When I spend time with someone, other things don't really exist. If someone's sharing where they are in their life, I'll blow meetings. I don't know if this is a superpower or if this is a great weakness. Aren't they the same thing?
The law of duality. Yes.
Yeah. So that might be a good indicator that I'm really hitting on what my superpower and shadow is. I really love people. I do. I've been. Some people have even thought that I was like fake before, because I really do care so much about people, and
Yeah.
I enjoy the unique expression of each person. I think everyone's really interesting. And yeah, I have always found it very easy to appreciate individuals for who they are and where they're coming from. And it makes it, I think it's a superpower for me the way I experience it, because I'm never really bored talking to anyone. And if I am, it just means that, my mind might be somewhere else, that I'm not actually with that person. Because anytime I'm really with that person, I find people so fascinating, and I really enjoy people. So that's served me well. And I think it's
Absolutely.
probably, there's an aspect of this company emerging from, like that type of space. I think.
Absolutely. No, I was going to say, so I heard being present very strongly in what you said, your ability to be and stay present with people. And it comes from a space of love and caring. And wow, what a great captain to steer this ship called Shoulder, coming from that space as your creation and CEO and co-founder. Wow. So big
Thanks.
things coming.
Thanks. Yeah. I think it's all happening by grace is what I'd
Yeah.
say. I'm learning, every step of the way. And this is definitely not, starting businesses. It's not for the faint of heart. In fact, I know why people say, oh, if I'd known what this was going to be, I wouldn't have done it. I don't say that. I would have done it anyway, but there's definitely a lot to it. And I think there's something too, like when you start something like this, the work kind of starts to happen through you, and it requires you to go through a lot more to be able to be what I'm experiencing is I'm being required to clear in so many ways stuff I didn't even know was there.
Yeah.
And so, which is a great gift. It's tough sometimes. It's a great gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do we want? What else do we want out of this?
Exactly.
Life?
This is why we're here. This is what we're here for.
Alchemy.
Yeah.
We're all
alchemy.
here for the alchemy. Yeah.
Beautiful. Rhett, what an amazing conversation. I'm very inspired by what you're building, what you've been creating here. And I look forward to watching, what's next for you guys.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity to connect with you. I've always, ever since we joined that gym at the same time, and you stuck with it, and now you're, phenomenal at handstands and, using your body weight in all these ways. I did not stick. I just kind of went regular yoga.
Oh, I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, it's great. Ever since we first crossed paths back then, and until now, I've admired you and your work, and really appreciate the opportunity to connect and share what we're doing.
Thank you. Likewise. All right. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.